Evening and welcome to Let's Talk, a conversation with Unc. How is everybody doing? Hope everybody is doing great. Hey, Sonia. Hey, Bugs. This is our life. Jazz. Hey, Noam. I hope I'm saying that right. How are y'all doing today? Thank y'all for coming through. All right, I got it right. You lucky, bro, because usually I'll butcher a name for real. Good to see you, Sonia. Thank you for coming through. All right. Well, what did you cook? Yeah, one, what did you cook? And two, why you didn't invite everybody over? We hungry. Nah, that don't help me. There's enough seafood going on around here already. I'm not a seafood kind of guy. I'm trying to get into this chicken and fish thing. Get away from the red meat. The plan is to change my eating habits. Corn, chicken bread, rice, mac and cheese, made some green beans and brownies. Okay. Yeah. I love chicken. I absolutely love chicken. I can't tell you how much I love chicken. Now the hard thing is getting away from the fried chicken. That's my thing. That fried chicken, man. That whew. And Auntie cooks when she cooks fried chicken. Mm, 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 mm. Trying to tell you, that's usually the first thing to go. So when we're having something and she's cooking the fried chicken, I make sure that I am front and center when it starts to get passed out. Because I know, thank you for sharing me out, Aunt Maddie. I know for sure, Yimmy, that if you don't get it when it first come out, you ain't getting none because it goes. It is the hottest ticket in town. I don't know. It's something about Aunt Maddie's chicken, boy. Yes. She be hollering, I can't cook. I can't cook. Okay, well, if you can't cook nothing else, you cook this chicken. It works for me. But like I said, I'm trying to get away from the fried food, more baked, which I don't mind. I like baked and grilled. I think I like broiled. As long as they ain't raw and fried. How you feeling, Yemi? Good to see you, bruh. It is definitely good to see you. Yeah, I love chicken. Yeah, I love fried chicken. Nah, Jess, I just need to get away from fried chicken. Period. Cause see, I just got to get it a better, get a better habit. Well, Dallas County Scratcher, what's up, my brother? Long time, long time. How you been? How things going? Yeah, I just need to get out of that habit, whether it's with olive oil or whatever. I just need to get out of the habit of the fried foods. So that's the thing. It is takes a lot of discipline. When I say a lot of discipline, a lot of discipline. See, if Auntie don't cook it, I won't eat it. If she cook it, I'm eating it. It just that's just a fact of life. So if she cooking it, Unc's eating it, and so I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell her no, don't cook it. Like, well, but other than that, I think I'm gonna be all right. I need to. Oh yeah, let's see what else. Pop Tarts. I've gotten away from drinking my water. I gotta get back on that kick. These sodas are definitely not the answer, especially when you go to the doctor and they trying to draw blood. And I went. I remember one time I went, and the lady was sitting there, and I'm trying to figure out, why is it taking so long? She's like, "Have you drank any water lately?" I'm like, "Well, no." She says, "Well, look, this is what I need you to do. You go sit out there in the lobby and you drink maybe 2, 3 cups of water. Then you come back and see me." So I went and I forced myself to drink like 4 cups of water. I went back in there and the blood, it flowed a whole lot better. She told me, she said that's what makes the blood flow is drinking water. And I'm like, oh. I mean, I knew water was important, but I wasn't, that deep into it. And although that's not rocket science, I just wasn't that deep into, figuring out that, in order for them to get my blood to come out, that I had to drink water. So the next time I went, I had been drinking water quite regularly. And she poked the needle in there and it just came on out. She filled up the little vial. She said, "Now there you go. Now you figured it out." I'm like, yeah, I did, but you don't understand what I went through to get this done. But now, I drink water for the past couple of weeks, I've gotten away from it. But once again, discipline and focus. I know that I need to do that. See, that's what I mean, Noam. It's stuff like that. Come get your plate. And then Thanksgiving is coming, but it's going to be a little different this year. So, but we'll work it out as we always do. We made it this far, all of us. People, they complaining about this and complaining about that, but if you think about it, we have survived every bad thing that has happened to us up to this point. We've survived it. Seemed like we wouldn't. At its darkest moments, you felt like you just wasn't gonna make it, but we're here, so that means something. You know, that means something. Good job, Jess. Great job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, but we've all survived everything that has happened. Excuse me. And throughout our lifetime, whether it's losing a loved one or losing a job or being sick, we've survived it. There's a reason why we're here. Well, you got one, Jess. We'll figure out one for you. You know. Thank you for sharing me out, Keto, the Keto Girl, and more. She's no longer just the Keto Girl, y'all. She is the Keto Girl and more. So she ain't regular no more, y'all. She is the Keto Girl and more. Y'all remember that. I'll put some respect on her name. Oh man, I am having way too much fun already. But thank you all for coming in. I appreciate you all. Oops. Okay, I guess it just ain't gonna let me do this, huh? Wow. Man, YouTube is really, really getting on. Well, I'm not gonna complain. I was gonna say they getting on my nerves, but I best not complain. Uh-oh. I ain't getting into that one. Appreciate you, Jess. But tonight I just want to talk about, what I was just talking about, things that we are survivors. All of us. We've survived everything. Everything that has come before us, we seem to figure out a way to get through it. And 10 years ago yesterday, I had a life-changing experience. I actually had a heart attack. And it when I say life-changing, it changed the way I see things, the way I look at life. Because at one time, as I went through the experience, and after I got through it, somebody asked me, was I scared? And the truth is, I wasn't. I was prepared for whatever. I remember there was a time before that I used to be afraid of death. I mean, I was afraid of. I would always be wondering what's going to happen when I die. I'm going to leave all these people behind. I don't want to, and it was stressing me out. Sometimes I would be afraid to go to sleep, and I would just lay there and lay there and lay there because I'm like, what if I go to sleep and I don't wake up? And it took me a while to get past that. And I remember reading a quote, and I think it was Martin Luther King. It may not have been, but it may have been. It says, if you are afraid to die, then you are afraid to live. Because if you're spending all your time thinking about death, how do you, when do you have time, or when are you spending time to think about the life that you can live, and all the things that you can accomplish? And so that kind of stuck with me. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That really, really makes sense. And as I started to focus more and appreciate life, it kind of threw me in another direction. And then when I had the heart attack, I was like, man, this was a like I said, a life changing experience. It taught me to appreciate the little things. I mean the little things, everything. Hey, best friend, how are you? Thank you for coming through. It made me appreciate everything a little bit more. I had a better understanding. And like I said, people ask, was I scared? I'm like, I really was not afraid. I was prepared. I just figured, if it's my time, it's my time. It wouldn't be nothing I could do about it anyway, because once I'm gone, I'm gone. Oh, just talking about my experience when I had my heart attack 10 years ago, best friend. And it was crazy how it all transpired because I was sitting in the house and my youngest son and I we were in the house. Auntie had gone out with her sister, and I'm in the house and we chilling. I'm watching. In fact, I was playing a video game, and my son he was in the room at that time. He was making his beats. And he was into his little music thing, and he very rarely came out the room. He was just doing his thing. And so I'm sitting there, I'm playing the game, and I'm playing the game, and I started to feel this some kind of funny feeling in my it was like in my stomach area. And so, I'm like, okay, cool. So I went, I drank some water, and I drank a little bit of soda, thinking that maybe it was gas. If I burp, I'll be okay. But that didn't work. So I put the game down, I laid down, and that didn't work. It was like, I mean, it was just, and it wasn't painful. It was just this annoying little thing. It was like it was almost like if you've ever had a little gnat go in your ear and it's just fluttering around in there. It was that kind of feeling. It was just annoying. And I'm like, what is really going on? I couldn't figure it out. And so I was like, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? Maybe I need to call 911. But right after I thought about I need to call 911, I heard my mother talking to me. And she was like, and it's something that every mother has told their child. You always want to make sure that you have on clean underwear because you never know when you're going to have to go to the hospital. Well, that was about the end of the week, and it was, laundry hadn't been done, and I'm like, okay, so now I got to figure something out. So I did what any rational person would do. Got a pair of underwear, went in the bathroom, washed them out in the sink. And I'm thinking, okay, now I'm not going to take them downstairs and put them in the dryer because I'm not spending $1.25 to put a pair of underwear in the dryer. So I did the hood move. I put them on the fan. I let them dry while that was going on. I went and got in the shower, got myself together. Wait a little while longer. Now this fluttering is still going on, and I'm like, okay, you know what? So I go and I tell my son, I was like, I'm like, David, I'm probably going to have to call 911. He was like, well, what's wrong? I said, I don't know. I'm feeling kind of funny. I need to call him. He was like, okay, cool. So by then my underwear had dried, and I put them on. I put my clothes on. I called 911. The lady, she asked all the usual questions. Did you drink anything? Have you eaten anything? When last time you took your medicine? Basic questions, Then she says, well, make sure you leave the door open so when the paramedics get there, they can come on in. I'm like, cool. So I left the door unlocked, and I'm sitting at the dining room table. I'm waiting for them to come in, and then they come in, and I'm like, okay. So the guy, they hooked me up to the EKG machine. They taking my pressure, and of course my pressure is like, about to bust the machine, blow the machine up, and then the little thing's going, and they turn on the EKG machine. And the guy pushed the button, and I hear the paper come out. Oh yeah, I did all that first, Keto. I'm trying to tell you, this was a ratchet move. I know that it's very unconventional, but yeah, I did all this stuff first. So I'm sitting on the chair, and they got the little thing going, and the paper comes out, and the dude looks at the machine, and his face, it was like he saw a ghost. And, he was new. So I figured, maybe he was new. He really wasn't sure what he was doing. So he looks at the other guy, and then they look at me, and I'm sitting there like, I don't know what's going on. So he told him to look. So he looks at the paper, and it must have been something wrong because then his face went flush. So he's like, do it again. So he pushed the little button. Here comes the paper. He looks at it again. Oh, now it's serious. So he says here, he's like, Mr. Ricks, you're having a heart attack. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, I didn't know what else I was supposed to say. So I was like, yo, okay. So they gave me the four little baby aspirin. I take the aspirin, I'm sitting there, and then little David comes out the room. Now I'm thinking he's gonna come out, he's gonna want to know, what's going on, Pops, you okay? Blah, 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 blah. First question out of his mouth, he asked them, do y'all know anybody that has a studio? A studio? Bruh, I'm over here having they about to take me to the hospital because I'm having a medical emergency, and you're asking about studio and music. But what was even crazier is they started to have this whole conversation. The dude was like, yeah, I know somebody who has a studio. Yeah, and the other guy's like, yeah, I know somebody that plays the guitar and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. I'm like, hey, y'all. He said, I'm having a heart attack. He said, oh, yeah. Hey, Vern, thank you for coming through. So they go get the little, and we're going to get the stretcher. Yeah, they did. No, they was going to get the chair first. They got the little chair that they bring out. And, yeah, they did. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to do, hey, G fam, what's up, bruh? I'm trying to tell you, this is really what happened. You can't make this stuff up. So they bring the stretcher in, and they put me on the stretcher, and they because it was November, so it was a little chilly. It was cold. And so they put the sheet on me and everything. They taking me outside. So there was this neighbor who never spoke. I mean, she would never speak. Oh, now they bringing me out in the shirt and she's walking up. Now, I guess the nosiness just kicked in and she really was just lost for words. Hey, how you doing? I'm thinking to myself, lady, you have never spoken to me a day in your life. Now you want to know how I'm doing? I ain't even say nothing. They just rolled me onto the ambulance. They put me in the ambulance. So I'm trying to ask them what hospital I'm going to so I could, well, before we left, I was asking what hospital. And so I don't know that they even said anything. So they put me in the ambulance and we're riding. And so the paramedic, one of the paramedics, I called him by his name. And he was like, dude, how you know my name? Okay, he's got his little tag on it, but it had his last name. But I actually heard the other guy say his name. And I was like, oh, man, as my kids say, that's G14 classified. He's like, wow. I was like, man, the dude said your name. I had to let the cat out of the bag because he's working on me. So I need him to be fully attentive. So then he says, you're not giving us the reaction that we thought we would get when we told you were having a heart attack. And I was like, well, if I had started acting like some crazy idiot, y'all would have shot me up with some medicine that probably would have knocked me out. I said, and so I need to see everything that's going on because one day I'm going to have a YouTube channel and I'm going to have to tell this story to my YouTube people. So I had needed to know. No, okay, I'm lying. I knew nothing about YouTube, but it sounded good though. But so they're taking me to the hospital. And I remember, I didn't know what hospital I was going to until we were going down the street and we made a specific turn. And this is the same turn that I made every time I've gone to the hospital, the little hairpin turn, so I knew where we was going. So we get to the hospital. They take me in the triage. The nurse comes in there and she's like, well, you need to take off all your clothes. I'm like, everything? She's like, yes, everything. I'm like, Man, I said, well, if I wish the lady had told me that on the phone, because then I could have just sat in the dining room butt naked. I wouldn't have. I told her the whole process of everything that I did. I said I could have just not washed out the underwear, washed myself up, and then just been sitting there waiting for them to show up. I done went through all this, I put on these clothes before I called. She said, "You really did?" I'm like, "Yeah." She said, "You was a damn fool." Yeah, well, I took that from her because there was no way I was going to sit here and argue about her calling me a damn fool, because one, she had access to a lot of medications. And so it's like when people fix your food, you don't want to make them mad. So I was like, cool. I'll let her have that. That's cool. So I take off all my clothes and I'm laying they give me the little gown and I'm laying across the bed and stuff. Doctor comes in, he's talking and talking. All of a sudden, he's like, you want to use the phone. So I'm trying to call somebody, let them know where I'm at. But I can't get in touch with anybody because my wife, she was out in the boonies and her phone, was kind of acting crazy. So next thing I know, they come in and they say, your daughter is calling my daughter. Cutie Chewie do not play by her parents, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. She done called Ed, because she called little David and she asked him, all he could remember that they said something about Washington. He had no idea where, So she done called every hospital in the Washington, D.C. area until she finally found me. So I let her know that, I think I talked to her, or I told him to tell her that I'm okay. I talked to somebody. I think I talked to Aunt Maddie on the doctor's phone, let her know I was okay. And that was, we were good. So then they called the cardiologist. So the cardiologist comes in. He looks up at because they took my pressure. He looks at the little machine, and I look at him. He looks like he saw a ghost. I'm like, what is it that because I never looked. And I'm like, what is it that they're seeing on this machine? Because the paramedic did the same thing. He looked at the machine and he turned white. All the blood rushed out of his face. And I'm like, okay, cool. So then the doctor, he looks like he saw a ghost. And he said, this can't be real. Is that really his pressure? And nurse like, yes. He said, no. You got to do this again. So they did it again. My blood pressure was 2 something over 2 something. Yeah. I was, yeah. I don't know I don't know. So then he's like, okay, call the cath lab, tell them to get ready. We're coming down. So maybe about 10 minutes later, maybe, he comes in there and he's like, okay, let's go. So the paramedics, they're still there. Why? I don't know. I guess it must have been a slow night. So they're like, Doc, can we go down? And watch. He's like, sure, come on. I'm like, yeah, Doc, I need my posse with me. Now I'm laughing and joking there because I think maybe I was a little scared, and I figured out that's why David came out of the room and said what he said, because he was scared and he didn't process it. So I kind of understood that. So we get down to the cath lab, they lay me on the table, and I hear the guy, they do all the things they're supposed to do. Then I hear because I at that point, was I working at the hospital? Yeah. And, I worked I used to work at a hospital. Yeah, probably so. I used to work at a hospital. So, I was a transporter. So I, taking people back and forth to the cath lab. So I kind of knew the procedure. So I'm laying there and I hear the clippers come on. So the dude starts shaving, my pubic area. And the doc says, no. We got this new procedure where we go in through the wrist. So the dude stops. I'm like, excuse me. I said, since you shaved this side, do you think you could hook the other side up for me so that it could be even? No. Here goes another person. I cannot argue with him because once again, you got these people that have access to drugs that, would do things to me. So I'm like, cool, I'm not gonna argue with him. So I kind of look down at myself. I got a bush on one side and it's nice and even on the other side. I'm like, man, this is so wrong on so many levels, but it's cool. I ain't arguing. So, the doc, he has me lay down, he grabs my arm and he takes the thing and he's going through my wrist. Now, he's pushing. I mean, it's like he sounded like he was pushing this big, heavy car or something up a hill. I mean, he was grunting. He was like, So I'm looking, I could see on the little monitor, like the veins and the vessels and all that stuff. So he's pushing and he's pushing and I'm like, what? Like, Doc, you okay? He's like, listen, he said, once we push this blockage through, you're going to feel a whole lot better. And I'm thinking to myself, you're going to need a procedure after you finish with me if you grunting like this. This can't be, but I could actually feel as he was pushing the thing up through my arm, I could feel it going through my vessels. And so he was pushing, and it got up to where the blockage was, which was one of my heart vessels. I don't even remember which one it was. But what it was, he was putting a stent in there and he was pushing the stent through. So he finally pushed it through and the blockage, I could, and he was right. I could feel it when the relief, it was like, and I could feel when the blockage was gone. So I'm laying there and the tears just start flowing. I'm crying like a baby. I'm gonna say something else. I'm crying like a baby. And I'm thanking the doctor and I'm thanking the people in the room. These are my best friends. They are the greatest people that I've ever met in my life. I'm laying there and I'm crying. And I'm thanking the doctor because I realized that it could have gone a completely different way. And that, I couldn't be here to tell this story to y'all. But I made it. So I'm laying on the bed. I'm waiting for them to come get me so they could take me upstairs to my room. Here comes Auntie around the corner. She looks like she saw a ghost. I'm like, oh, what is going on here? But she was just glad to see me because Auntie she doesn't drive at night. She hates driving at night. To this day, she hates driving. As a matter of fact, now Auntie really hates driving. So if you ever hear her say she drove somewhere, it had to be somewhere where she really, really needed to go because, Auntie just don't like to drive. So she rolls in and, she hugs me and kisses me and all this stuff. And I'm like, I was just glad to see her too because it was like she wasn't there when it happened. And I'm just glad that I made it because I know that I wouldn't want something like that to happen and her not be there with me. So when I saw her, I was glad to see her and I'm like, cool. So and they finally take me up to the ICU, so I can recover and all this stuff. And so the doctor comes in and he's doing all this talking, blah, 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 blah. I don't remember what he was saying. And he says, so do you smoke? I said, I used to. He said, well, when did you quit? So I looked at the clock and I calculated it was about from the time that he came in the room after the procedure to the time I smoked my last cigarette. I think it was maybe 6 hours, something like that. Might not have been that many, but however many hours it was, that's when I quit. I haven't smoked a cigarette since. And also Cutie Chewy told me that, Dad, if I ever see you with another cigarette, it's going to be a situation. So when she said that, it didn't matter what the doctor said. I won't smoke it no more. So yes, I had that. That was when I quit 6 hours before he asked me that. I decided I was not going to smoke again. And especially after Cutie Chewie gave me the ultimatum, because it was something about it, the way she said it, that let me know that she was serious, serious. And anybody that knows me and Cutie Chewie, y'all know that we are attached at the hip. That's my baby girl, and she don't play by her daddy. And so when she said that, I'm like, I'm done. No more smoking for me. So I'm laying in the bed, and they would give me all this medication. So I'm trying to sleep. First off, I got to sleep sitting up. I mean, not sitting up, but yeah, sitting up, because they didn't want me to lay all the way down. And I'm used to laying on my side, going to sleep or whatever. So I finally get to sleep, and they're pumping me with uh, potassium. So I'm laying there, and all of a sudden my hand just went. You've seen all y'all have seen, if you've seen uh, Sanford and Son, when Fred started talking about the arthritis in his hand gets stiff and he can't move it, and all. I mean, it's just like I got the arthritis, that thing. That's what my I could not move my. I mean, I'm sitting. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is really? I mean, it hurt. So I ring the bell for the nurse, thinking that maybe she's gonna come in. There's something that she can actually do to relieve the pain. And she let me know that it's the potassium. That's one of the side effects is going to happen. I'm like, well, how much more? She looks at the bottle, and it's maybe like just a third of the way. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have to lay here all damn night with this stuff going in me, and it's gonna make my hand hurt like this. I'm not gonna get any sleep. Cool. I laid there, I sucked it up. It hurt. I finally got a little bit of sleep. I fucking love you. Where the rest of the crew? Excuse me 1 second, y'all.
Hi, Kita. Hi,
Jess.
Jess. And is anybody in here?
Yeah, we got Jess, we got G Fam, Vern's Junk Closet. There's some people in here. They not really saying nothing, but they in here. So
Kita said, whoa.
so I finally got through that, and they released me. Like I said, I haven't had a cigarette since then. You know, and that moment taught me a valuable lesson about life and how short life is, and that you have to appreciate everything. I mean, everything. I do. I Hey, Miss Yvette, how are you? I've actually learned to appreciate the small things and not to take things for granted, and live each day and love each day, and I try to encourage others to do the same. Don't get so caught up in worrying about what you don't have. Appreciate what you do have. Cherish it, love it, the people. If like I said before, listen to that joke just one more time. The crazy story. If they tell it 1,000,001 times, just listen to it. Hug them just a little bit tighter. Hold their hands just a little bit longer. I can guarantee you once they're gone, you'll wish you had. So just, you know, and that's why I say, we've all been through something in life, but yet here we are. And there's a reason why we're here. We're all here for a reason. We all have a purpose. You know. So don't worry. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't be worrying about stuff that you can't control. Hell, ain't no need to worry about it if you can control it, because worrying does nothing. Worrying does absolutely nothing but make you sick and miserable. And then once the problem has been rectified and you figure out that it really wasn't as bad as you thought, now you got a whole nother situation because you done worried yourself half to death. Now you got a hospital bill that you wasn't anticipating. You had to take off work. You had to miss out on the party. You all those things because you were sitting around worried about something that really was insignificant and minute. Just enjoy the moment, man. I'm trying to tell you. Just enjoy it. Shout out to the 6 people in the room. How you been doing, Miss Yvette? How you feeling? It's good to see you. I appreciate you coming in. And I also have figured out how I'm going to do the morning motivation. I'll be posting on Instagram and on my community page. But I'll give y'all the exclusive since y'all are here. I'll be starting not this Monday, but the following Monday. Monday through Saturday. It'll be in the video form. So it'll be it'll be different. And I know y'all are used to y'all become spoiled by the individual, DM or Instagram, but trying to do things a little different. So that's the plan, y'all. But I really appreciate y'all and thank y'all for allowing me to be a part of you all's journey. And I thank you all for wanting to be a part of mine. It's greatly appreciated. And I love you all forever. Uh-oh. What, Keto? You didn't know? Uh-oh. Yeah, that's man, Keto girl with them doggone eyes. Oh, my bad, Keto. Oh, that's what you wasn't in the other live. Yeah, for as much as I love doing that, it, because it has grown larger than I anticipated, and I probably should have figured this out. In fact, I had figured it out, but I couldn't let it go. That I should have stopped because it grew faster and larger than I anticipated. I started off with maybe 4 or 5, and now I'm up to like almost 60, I think, something like that. And so I'm sitting there, and every morning you know, it's not a burden, but it's time consuming. Hey, Nisi. Hey, y'all. Matter of fact, Nisi, I'm glad you're here. I'm gonna drop you a link. Hold on. Lovely Nisi is launching a business, y'all. That's that's my buddy. She's a special kind of little girl. Aw. Well, thank you, Nisi. All right, y'all. If y'all get a chance, go over there and check out Lovely Nisi. That is her new business venture. Check her out. Show her some love and support. She is a very, very special young lady. You are welcome. You know that. You are absolutely welcome. I wish you nothing but success. All right, Noam. You be safe out there. Drive carefully. And as they say, watch out for the other guy. I thank y'all so much for coming in and listening to my little story. I was going to tell it last night, but I was enjoying the music. I'm like, you know what? Mm-mm. I started telling the story. They would never been in. Y'all never would have heard any music. But Nisi, I want to share this on my community tab as well. So yeah, you need to watch out for the other folks. Knowing that everybody can't drive, and everybody isn't meant to be behind the wheel either. But you can't tell them that. They get behind the wheel anyway. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, so thank y'all so much. You might not want to get road rage, Noam. Yeah, that turns into something completely different. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be doing that. Yeah, Nisi. Matter of fact, a couple of people they've been asking about you, and I told them that she is doing just well. So it's certainly good to see you, as always. I appreciate you, no doubt. We got about 4 more minutes. I thank each and every one of y'all for coming through. I'll be back Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Oh, Nisi, thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. That's okay. It's a thought that counts, dear. Thank you. I appreciate you. Mm-mm. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, well, always, Nisi. Always. You can count on that, my dear. Well, Jess, I was just about to wrap up. I'll see you at 8:30. But I thank each and every one of y'all for coming through. I appreciate y'all. I hope you all have a good rest of the evening. Like I said, Jess, I'll see you at 8:30. You and Brother Joe. And I'll see the rest of y'all. If I don't see y'all there, I'll see y'all somewhere. But I'll see y'all again Tuesday night at 7 o'clock for more Let's Talk, a conversation with Unc. You all have a good night. And remember to be happy on purpose and know that I believe in you, believe in you too. Good night.